Hello everyone and welcome. So I'm so happy to see you here today, whether you're catching the replay or you're watching us live. Welcome. I'm Pitchy and I am a brand strategist and identity designer, and I work with small and medium-sized businesses to create strategic brands that help them engage with and connect with their dream clients. So today we're going to be talking about brand strategy. I'm going to be giving you, or try to give you, a quick recap and an introduction into what brand strategy actually is and why you might need it for your business. So before we start, I know it's a Friday afternoon and everyone's probably eager to be getting on with their weekend. So I'm going to try and keep it short and concise today. If you have any questions that pop up as I do my presentation, please do feel free to pop them in the comments and I will address them towards the end of the live. Also, to my right here, I have a dog and he might be vocal. So you're warned. I'm hoping he's going to behave. Right, so let me just get my slides up for you. Here you go. Right, so brand strategy. What is it and why do you need it? The funny thing about brand strategy is when I mention it to people, some people's eyes just like really glaze over and they look really confused because they don't know what it is. Other people look a bit scared, and I'm imagining that they're picturing this sort of slick, slightly cocky guy in a suit turning up to do various exercises and talk about brand strategy with grandeur and words that leave their brains hurting and a big invoice. And truth is, it doesn't have to be like that, especially not when you're a smaller company. You really don't have to make brand strategy a really complicated thing. So as you can see here on this first slide, I asked my audience the other week what was the first thing to pop into their head if I said brand strategy. And as you can see, there are some different answers here. My personal favorite is, to be honest, boring. I should hope not. Brand strategy, it can sound a little bit dry, but my goal is for all my clients that I take through the strategy roadmap that I will go through with you today, is for them to have fun while doing it, because I want branding work to actually fire you up about your brand. It's not going to be a chore. Hopefully it should be something enjoyable and fun. We have other people saying one day, and that's also quite common for someone to not think about brand strategy in the first place, because you want to just like get on with things. And so you're thinking, let me just put that off until later. When in reality, what you should be doing is doing the brand strategy first. I get it. It's intimidating sometimes. So we have also some people who are getting closer to what a brand strategy really is. So the closest one out of all of these answers, I think, is the person who answered how to bring all the brand related puzzle pieces together so I can make people recognize me, remember me, and want to work with me in heaps. So that's probably the closest we're going to get to a brand strategy from those answers. So I think that in order to look at what a brand strategy is, first we're going to need to look at what a brand actually is. And there's another common misconception. A lot of people just think of a brand as a logo, but a brand is never really just a logo. A brand is everything. It's the sum of all of what you stand for. It's who you are, it's how people perceive you, it's your attitude, it's your brand personality, all of that sort of gelling in together to create an emotional association in the minds of people. So what that means is, and this is kind of scary, I know, you can never actually be 100% in control of your brand, because you can't dictate how other people are going to feel about you and your brand. And that is where the brand strategy comes in, because a brand strategy gives you the tools that you need to steer your brand in the right direction. And that's why I like to look at a brand strategy as kind of a bridge between your business strategy on one side and your visual branding on the other side. And there will be some overlap here. Your brand strategy and your business strategy do overlap. But really what it means is you want your visual branding to accurately reflect your business strategy, and you want it to help you achieve your business strategy. So, in short, brand strategy is about taking a step back to look at the bigger picture. And if you're thinking that it's just for the big companies, it's not. All companies of all sizes, in all industries, can benefit from having a good brand strategy. So with all my clients, what you see on the screen here is the roadmap that I take them through before we develop their brand identity. And as you can see, the visual part of your brand, it's here, but it's right at the end at number 5. So what most people think of when I say a brand is actually the last step of the framework. I think most people think of this as the main sort of brand strategy thing because it's so tangible. The visual identity is what you can see. Like, it's there, it's in clear view. So it's no wonder that's what people think about when we talk about a brand. But in reality, we really need to go all the way back here to step number 1 to define the inner core. And I will go through it slightly step by step. So the first stage of the roadmap is all about you. The focus goes inwards. And this is where you really dig deep to define your why. Why does your brand even exist? And who are you? Where do you want to go with your brand? This part of the process is where we would typically look at things like your vision and your mission. So your vision is basically your why, whereas your mission, we could look at it as your how. Your vision is something that you're going to achieve someday, and your mission is what you're actually doing every day to achieve that vision. We might also here in this step actually prepare a vision board to visualize these things, because if something's really intangible, I find it really does help to put images to it and make it more real. So that's also a part of that first step. We also, in step 1, look at defining goals for the brand and keeping those goals really measurable, because that's going to be really, really important as we move forward, because what you want to do is you want to stake out the course before you start the rest of your branding journey, so that you don't have to go around in circles and keep coming back again. So if we move on to step 2 of the map, is where we focus more outwards. This is where you're going to find your playground, as they call it. So you're going to be looking, first of all, at who your ideal clients are. Defining those clients and really getting under the skin of them is going to help you communicate more effectively when you start to do the rest of your branding. So we look at who is the client of your wildest dreams, how old are they, what gender are they, where do they live, what do they do, those kinds of things. And what do they like to eat for breakfast? What do they like to watch on Netflix? Are they into motocross? Are they into gardening? Are they loud and vibrant, or are they more quiet and reserved? And we look at possibly putting together a user persona as well, which is basically a made up fictional character who is supposed to represent your dream client. In this part of the roadmap, we also look at your competitors, because you want to know your kind of playground and investigating the existing market for your product or service. You want to know if that product or that service is available already. Who are your competitors? How can you stand out? Is there a gap in the market that you can sort of swoop in and grab? And we also look in this part of the roadmap at your unique selling point or your wow factor. What is it that makes your brand so different that people are going to choose you over your competitors? And final stage of this is that we look at positioning, because you want to find your sweet spot in this whole mix. And a brand positioning matrix can help you visualize, and it can help you sort of pinpoint how to best position your brand in relation to all of the other people in the playing field. So if you are on the playing ground and there are 18 kids who want to play on the swing, you might have more luck going for the slide instead, instead of fighting everyone for that one swing. So basically that's what we do here. We try and identify a vacant spot. A lot of the time this is done by using a standard sort of cost value matrix. Like we look at where are you price wise. Are you a budget or a high end brand? Are your products fairly low quality or basic, or are they premium? And sort of weigh these two kind of scales up against each other to find your spot, to see where also there is a vacant spot. You could also add other metrics to a brand positioning matrix. For instance, you could look at whether you want to be more classy or basic, or whether you're traditional or whether you're cutting edge. So those kind of things we'll look at in stage 2. Now, stage 3 of my roadmap is when things start to get exciting. So this is where the fun starts for real. This is when you get to inject a little bit of personality into your brand. And the ultimate goal here is to create a brand personality that your unicorn clients can resonate with. One that stands out for all of the right reasons and that really sort of sticks in their minds, if you know what I mean. So when we work with brand personality and humanizing the brand, we look at things like the brand attributes, like are you playful, are you serious, are you unconventional, or are you more mainstream? Are you a feminine brand or a more masculine brand? So these are the kind of things that we would look into. And we look into finding and narrowing it down really into sort of 3 to 6 values or personality traits that describe your brand. That's really important because, like we said earlier, when we defined what a brand is the sum of all of the feelings and the thoughts and the visuals and all of the other memories, both the positive ones and the negative ones, that people have about your company or your product or your service. So you want to really think about also what kind of feeling do you want to give people when they see your logo and the brand identity when we get to that point. And because, like I said, I want the whole brand strategy process to be fun for my clients. So I've been working with archetypes with my clients now for a while, and that's something that most of them really like, because it's a kind of a fun and a bit more sort of relaxed approach. It sounds a little far-fetched, but it's all very sort of based in psychology. Carl Jung, he identified 12 archetypes that each have their own really powerful identities and a set of characteristics and values and attitudes. And when it comes to branding and how you can use that in branding, is if you identify which of these 12 archetypes your brand is more like, then you can humanize your brand and add a little bit of personality into it. Now, because people buy from people, we've heard that one before, but it's an old one, but a good one. So because of that, the stronger your brand personality resonates with your dream client, the stronger their perceived connection with your brand is going to become. And so that's going to help you build that crucial know, like, and trust factor. So archetypes, I have a quiz for this over on my website if you want to check it out and just have fun with it. That's completely free. And it'd be really fun if you wanted to hop on over and let me know afterwards what archetypes your brand came out with. That'd be really fun. So yeah, archetypes, probably not the one answer to your brand personality, but it's a really useful exercise to give you a certain idea or a starting point. And it's fun. So once we've gone through the first 3 steps, it's time to move on to your messaging. So step number 4 is where you have to think about what is the main thing that you want to communicate. So when you get this far into the roadmap, you really need to keep in mind what you've been working through in the previous steps. So you make sure that when you're crafting your brand message, you keep your brand personality and your dream clients and your goals in mind when you're creating it. Both your actual message and your tone of voice. Your brand story is also something that we look at in this step. And storytelling in branding is really, really, really powerful. And that's because people enjoy and remember stories because they see themselves in them. They relate to them. And so if you want your audience to really get a strong emotional connection with your brand, you need to make them a story that's about them, their emotions, their struggles, their challenges, and their successes. So basically we look into things like, what does their life look like now? And what problems do they face? What actions would they need to take to overcome those challenges? Who's going to help them? It's you. And obviously, what kind of transformation can they achieve when you help them? Next, we want to look at tone of voice, because how formal do you want your tone of voice to be? So your brand's tone of voice is now, it's not what you say, because you worked on that already with your messaging. It's how you say it. And the language that you use and the tone of voice, it should reflect your brand personality. So you want to make sure that there isn't a mismatch here, or you're very likely to confuse the heck out of your audience, basically. So what that means is that if you're a vibrant and easygoing brand, and your target audience are a young crowd and kind of trendy, but if you then address them as if you were a conservative politician talking to a crowd of pensioners, they're just going to go, what? So look at finding a communication style that feels like you and that your audience is attracted to. So those are the 4 sort of main pillars of a brand strategy. And now, only now, we move on to the 5th and final pillar, which is all about visualizing your brand. And yes, this is important too, but the 4 pillars in front of it are like your foundation. Don't skip it. So when you get to the point where you start to visualize your brand, you want to go back and revisit all of the 4 previous steps. And you want to make sure that your brand identity and your brand visuals are an accurate representation of all what you've been working with before. So there you have it. That's a basic sort of understanding of brand strategy. Well, that was my roadmap, and I'm not saying that's the right way to do it for everyone, but it's how I've been working with my clients for quite a few years now. So why do you need a brand strategy? Well, basically, if you're not clear on your brand values and your personality and your goals, you're going to really struggle to retain brand consistency. And that brand consistency is really important when you are out communicating with your dream clients, because the consistency is what is going to get them to remember you and know that it's you. They're going to start to know you, they're going to start to like you, they're going to start to trust you. So if you haven't done your homework on the strategic part, you risk sending mixed messages to your audience and confusing them, basically. And you could end up attracting the wrong kind of people. And you don't want that. You want to work with the clients and projects that really fire you up, right? The people that you get really excited to work with and who are really excited to work with you. And the people who kind of excite you and allow you to perform your magic. And I thought maybe I would tell you a personal sort of little anecdote here. It's now 4 years ago since I started my company. And in the decade before that, I'd been working for other people mainly, and I'd been doing all sorts of design work for all sorts of clients, not by choice. And so that could mean doing anything from like random small sort of business cards, that could mean designing a book, it could mean obviously designing visual identities, what I do now basically. But a lot of the time it was this soul-sucking work for people who didn't really appreciate the work that goes into a carefully thought out design. And it was soul-sucking, honestly. I felt like a little piece of me died every time I just had to throw together a business card as fast as I could. But I realised that what really made me happy and what really made me excited about my profession was when I was able to work with clients on branding projects and identity designs. And so that when I started my company, I knew that I wanted to pivot from doing all the nitty-gritty design work over onto doing more of what I really enjoy working with and what I'm best at. And so what I did was I sat down and looked at my own brand strategy and looked at what I needed to do. So basically led to me, I started out doing, like when you start out, you kind of do what you need to do to get the bills paid. So I started out doing more of the same work that I had been doing. But the one thing I did was I stopped talking about the fact that I was doing these things for people. I only showcased my brand strategy and identity design work on my website. That's the only thing I was communicating out to my audience. And what that has done over the course of the last sort of 3 years or so is that I've gone from being an all-rounder, basically, to being able to hone in on my expertise within design strategy, brand strategy, and identity design. So now I would say that probably 95% of all of the work that I do is for people that really get me, because I'm adding my personality into my branding as well. And it's for people who need help with their identity designs and their brand strategy. So just a personal little anecdote from me there. So to summarize then, having that rock solid brand foundation is going to give you a clarity that's going to make the rest of your branding efforts easier. So I want you now to just imagine if attracting your dream clients felt super easy because you know who they are and you're taking the time to discover who they are and get to know them and what you can help them with. Imagine that your brand photographer really jumped for joy because you had a strategy document that you could give to them. So they were able to capture images that really showcase your amazing brand personality, and they were able to do it with ease. Your copywriter as well, you're going to make it a heck of a lot easier for them to craft a really compelling, client attracting brand story. Imagine if staying true to your brand values felt effortless. Yeah, it will when you have your brand strategy ready, because you will have a clear vision of who you are and what you stand for. And your designer's going to love you because they're going to have a strategic foundation, basically, to base your brand identity on and all your communications materials on. So it's not just a pretty logo and a gorgeous color palette and no substance. We don't want fluff. We want a workhorse, right? And finally, and the most important one is, imagine if your dream clients noticed you because you stood out, they recognized you, they felt like they knew you, and they started to trust you, and then finally they lined up to work with you. Now that is the kind of magic we can achieve when you have brand strategy. Oops, jumping ahead here. Sorry about that. So basically, what I'm saying is you wouldn't build a house without a foundation, would you? So the magic of a kick-ass brand happens when you do the things in the right order. And so the starting point for every successful brand is to have that clearly defined brand strategy. If you're the kind of person who has been avoiding this whole strategy work thing because you find it scary, and maybe you went straight for the design work because that's, let's face it, a lot more fun and easier. If you've maybe been tweaking your logo and your fonts and your colour palette loads of times, but you still feel like something isn't right here, something's off, and your branding is all over the place. Well, basically, I've got an offer for you. Now, I promise I'm not going to be a sleazy salesperson because that's not me. But I want to introduce you to the Branded Strategy Intensive. So basically, it's designed to help you unleash the power of your unique brand. We're going to do it in just 3 weeks. And we're going to do it so that you can do the work that you love for the clients of your dreams. I know it sounds good. It's going to be good. So basically, this is a group program where I will guide you through as you work through my tried and tested branded roadmap. And we're going to look at all of the things that we've spoken about today: your why, your how, your goals, who your dream clients are. We're going to look at your positioning, look at your unique brand personality, we're going to look at your values and your brand story, and we're going to have fun while we're doing it, basically. So I'm going to run you quickly through what you're going to get if you do decide to join this program. First up, you're going to get my premium branded roadmap, which is a 30-page fillable PDF workbook. And that's going to help you discover everything about your brand. And this is a document that I want you to be able to go back to and make amendments in as your brand evolves. To help you get started, you're going to get some short and to the point audio guides for each of the steps in the workbook. And we're going to have a one-to-one video strategy call. So just the two of us, you and me, we jump on a video call so that I can help you if you're kind of stuck on something, or we can throw ideas back and forth and really help you to get to the core of your brand as you work through the roadmap. There's going to be a Facebook community, and it's going to stay open for the duration of the program, and I will be in there to give you advice, and your fellow brandettes will also be there to chime in with their insights as well. Within that group, there will be a live Q&A, and that will be in week 2 of the program, so that you had a chance to kind of get used to the framework, and maybe you've got some questions that are popping up, maybe something's not clear, maybe you want a little bit of help. That's when I'll pop in and do a live Q&A. You will also get 2 days of Voxer office hours, and these will happen in week 1 and week 3 of the program. Basically, Voxer is free app that you can download and where you can send me a text or a voice message, and I will get back to you with feedback, advice, yeah, anything that you basically might need. Right, so I've got a fast action bonus for you as well, because, you know, we like bonuses. So if you're one of the first 3 people to sign up before the end of Sunday, you're going to get a mini brand audit from me. So basically, my eyes on your brand. And the essence of this is that once you've started to work through your brand strategy, you might find that it doesn't quite align with your visual brand anymore. So I will look at both of these together and identify any sort of problem areas and give you my honest first impression review, identify a couple of things that you can work on and give you some action steps basically to get you started. So if you want that one, that bonus, you're going to have to be fast. And there's only 10 available spaces here because I want the Facebook group to be kind of small and intimate so that we can all feel like we can get to know each other and really dig in deep and help each other as well with working on those brands of yours. So I'm going to pop the link in the comments here later, direct link to where you can go and purchase this. If you bear with me a second, I'll try and do it straight away. It would be super awesome if I could see some of you in there. Right. There you go, the link has been popped in the comments. Right, that kind of concludes my planned content for this live. So I'm going to go and have a look at the comments because I can see that there are some comments here, and I'm going to see if there are any questions that you guys want me to answer. So bear with me while I just pop up another window. No questions, just hellos. Hi Marit, hi Melissa, hi Susan, thank you for tuning in, so fun to see you. Right, I'm gonna ask again, is there anything that I can answer for you based on these topics? Fire away, otherwise I'm gonna let you get on with your weekend and have a glorious time. We've got fantastic weather out, so I can't wait to get out in the sunshine. Doesn't look like there's going to be any more questions, but I will be leaving this video up both in my group and on my page. And if you have any questions, whether it's about what I've been talking about today or whether it's about my program, you can pop them in a comment or send me a direct message, or you can chat with me via the little chat icon in the bottom right corner of my website. So thank you again for tuning into my live, and I wish you all a really happy weekend, and bye for now.